You're listening to Productivity Monsters in the Morning. We are the energy volt your real estate business needs to get you up and out and excited and productive for the day. We go over trending topics and things that really matter in the market of the moment. Here are your hosts, Tiffany Hampton and Brooke Silva.
Brooke Silva, I'm so glad to have you back on my screen. How are you?
So happy to be back. It's so fun, though, having guests. And I'm going to kick you out one week, too, and get a couple guests on to shake it up. But it's so fun, especially when they're listeners, to come on to the show and interact with them. You had some good guests. You had some good shows without me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Your turn. You're going to have some great tech guests. I have some great names if you don't have, but I know you know people.
I'm about to name drop. Yeah. So yeah, in our world, I will name drop. We will get some really cool people on because what's great about the people in my so-and-so tech world is actually they're all masters of the craft of real estate. Mm-hmm. Right? Like the only thing that makes me a tech on all of this is I know how to take all the real estate, what we're supposed to be doing, and deploy it in tech and teach our agents how to use those same systems and models.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that today because the thing that's missing is using the tools we have, no matter what the tool is. I don't care what it is. You got to take action.
Well, and that's, back in the day, we used to sit in classes and take notes, and then they would go in our book, and then the book would never get opened. And yeah. Right. So I'm all about, and you practice this at a much higher level than I do, action training and action coaching, because when they walk out of that classroom or a workshop or wherever they are, they have put things into play.
Well, it's so important for me. So with my background, with how I struggled to learn growing up and the adversity I faced with learning, our adults deserve to learn. And if they don't understand why they're pushing a button, they're not going to push a button. So there's got to be theory, real play, and then actively doing to solidify the education they're receiving so that it makes sense. I was just in Portsmouth last week while you had the guest on, and we were going over basic database stuff, but we did it together. We ran through putting themselves in as a clean contact, because if we should have 100% of ourselves in there, right? And what does it look like to use our app versus the browser? What does it look like to set up follow-up plans? What does it look like to have a clean contact? And the biggest thing of that is you now repeat. This is rinse and repeat. You can't just sit there and think about it. We've got to keep going. So that's our affirmation today. It's I think it, I do it, I achieve it.
And I met with a coaching client on Saturday, and she's like, yeah, I put them into my Google contacts. So I said, but I didn't have time to put them in command. I was like, you should put them in command before you put them into your Google contacts. And then I walked her through all the really cool things that happens when you call from command. And she was just like, I was like, yes, come to our classes. We will share.
I know. And I don't ask for ahas in my classes all the time. It's like, I want to hear what your favorite part of the class was as an aha, but I want to know what you're doing right now. Like, what is the one thing you're going to leave this class or do or sit here and do as we're wrapping up?
Yep. All right. Back to our subject. So today, I think it, I do it, I achieve it. And I listened to a couple of books this weekend in true Tiffany fashion, and we were talking between pressure and versus stress, right?
There's a big difference because everybody everything is not stress and everything is not pressure.
Right. Yeah. And when I think of pressure, there's a lot of pressure to get things done. And then when I don't follow through on that pressure, that's when the stress comes. I think pressure is a great part of your life. Without pressure, how do you continue to grow and move, right? I don't need the stress, And when you think of stress comes a lot because we procrastinate. Just a little bit.
We don't time block. Or if we do time block, we don't follow our time block.
Yep. Yeah. And, I've learned in my life, I am a full-fledged procrastinator. I have to be so busy in life. There is no time to procrastinate. And that's where that pressure comes in. If I would just give myself some relaxation and look where the pressure is and live in the pressure, I wouldn't procrastinate and I would never be stressed.
And I'm like the mid on that, right? So I do the same things all the time. Sometimes my routine is broken because I travel for the region. But one of the things there are some things I just don't like. I don't like the feeling of the pressure, especially if there's other people involved in the project. I was that kid in high school when there was a group project who was like the taskmaster, bring everybody in. I wasn't doing this by myself.
Yep.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, I would never fail the people in the group and I expect you not to fail me. Right. But when you're a solo agent running your business, who's that accountability group? Who are you answering to with all that? And I think, when we're stressed, it's usually because there's this gap in education or people to do it for us. Leverage, right? We talk about leverage all the time. So one of the things is understanding the difference between pressure and stress, right? We were talking about this morning. Pressure is so different than stress.
Right. When you're stressed out, it's usually because you're missing something, right?
Yeah.
You're missing resources, you're missing time, you're missing money, you're missing energy. And I look back at my most stressed out periods of my life, and it's true. I was missing one of those 4 things. Like when I was really sick, I was missing the energy.
The health part of it, right? When I was in like some of the worst places I was in my life with the stress, it was because I didn't have financial means to do what I needed to do. I didn't have the education back in the day with the perceived thought of what I needed for education to get a better job. So I felt like I didn't have the skill set, which I did, which means the stress was coming from lack of confidence in what I was doing when I was younger. And pressure is different. Pressure is because there is something large at stake, right? If you're feeling that tightness over something, it's because there is something at stake or someone you're going to let down. And you know how to do it. You have the resources to do it. You have the time to do it, but you don't make it a priority to do it, right? So I often say this to my kids. I'm like, listen, your lack of urgency is not my emergency. You knew about something? Oh, like your FAFSA? I don't know, like education deadlines to the older ones, and you know how to do it. So now you're feeling pressure, not stress. Right. It's such a different world. It's such a different world to live. And I think when you know the difference between those two things, are you still going to procrastinate, Tiffany?
Probably. Not as much.
But like truthfully, if that's how your personality drives, right? Like if you're like, you know what, I have a presentation Monday, I'll listen to the presentation I have to review on the way there, right?
Well, and so like I have a deadline of the 15th for our project I'm working on. Mm-hmm. I'll get it done tomorrow night. It'll be finished, right? I'm teaching business planning clinic on Monday. I'll have everything put together Friday-ish. Mm-hmm. It's just the way I roll. But see, I work well with pressure because I know I have the resources. I know I have everything I need, the energy. Problem is one day something's going to happen.
Right. What if you get sick tomorrow?
Yeah.
Right. What if you wake up with this head cold that all of us in the region seem to be like suffering from, except for you? Right. Like it's because I have a little kid. When there's little kids involved, they're snot factories and germ fests. But what if you wake up sick for 2 days? Or we just got snow. It sucks. What if you lost power and you couldn't use the tools that you have online? Right. I think, and that's where I'm a contingency planner, right? Like I see such big picture and all the problems that could happen that I give myself wiggle room to get ahead of that. So I don't feel that. And I think one of our biggest, this is across the board in any industry where you use a CRM, actions are not logged, right? So you have a phone call with someone, you never do anything with it. Fortune's in the follow-up, but that you're not going to remember, especially if you're dealing with pressure or stress. What may seem as something small to you, like reaching out to a client to wish them a happy birthday or home anniversary, it's a small thing. I'll send a belated card. I'll do this. Could mean the world to that other person. And if you're not logging your interactions, you actually don't truly know what it takes to continue to convert. And conversion could be different, right? It could be not just buying or selling houses, but it could be for referrals or investing.
Yep.
So we've got a lot.
That, what you didn't touch on in that statement is, I don't care. Like, if you didn't call me for my birthday, I don't care, right? 99% of the world does care. So I can't put how I feel about any specific situation onto other people. So that planning and putting the game plan together and, making sure your database has birthdays and a plan so that 6 days before you're reminded, right? Like, you sent me birthday presents and I was like, oh, she thought of me, right?
Right. And I try to remember too that there are people who don't enjoy getting that stuff, but I'm still going to send a note or a text of appreciation, right? Like, it's how I'm built. It's how I cultivate relationships, is through things that have to do with, like, when I was in tech, I wasn't sending tech calls all the time, right? I wasn't sending information on the newest, greatest laptop or servers, right? I was trying to stay in relationship with people so I could really hone in on their needs at the moment. And just because you don't think it's important doesn't mean, oh my God, you have an iced coffee today? I'm so proud of you. I'm freezing. Oh, forget it.
My 95 ounces, I'm trying to put pressure to drink a lot of water.
There's water and coffee, so I'm fine. So that's my tech action, is log the interaction, but take one step further. Like, it takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds, phone call, right? And no matter what you use in this world, CRMs are made for interaction. So they're not going to make it difficult to log an interaction, no matter the CRM you're using or whatever you're using. There's a no place. You've got to log it, but you've got to set up future interaction. That's the magic. Like, it's great. You call me once a year on my birthday. Great. Like, I love all those, but what would it look like for consistent interaction over a period of time for those relationships with people, not just the holidays?
Absolutely. I was on a coaching call this morning before we hopped on, and she's talking about doing pop buys, right?
What? Yeah.
And she's like, I have about 100 people. I was like, well, put it in your calendar, put it in your program command in our world.
Yep.
And tag them. So people that you're meeting in December, you're going to do December and July.
Right.
So tag them December and July, and you'll never forget to reach out to them in December and July if you follow the system.
It's so easy, but we always say easy, not simple. Just get into a habit. And I would love to be able to look back at your business over the years and show you what it took, because not everybody's going to be a fast convert. But I think when you're seeing progress of conversion and relationship building, lead gen doesn't hurt as much. Doing these things doesn't hurt as much, because you pick up the phone, you hang up the phone, right? There's nothing to show you what you did. For those people who have to see that instant gratification. So when we are doing things like that, I think too, we're so much closer to our goals when we see the little steps that happen to make the mountain get closer and closer.
Mm-hmm. So we're in business planning.
Yep.
Put your game plan together. Figure out what steps you need to take in each one of the areas. And when you feel the pressure, don't let it turn to stress. Take the action. Take the action.
Because you have it. You've got, listen, we overeducate you. You got everything here. You've got the people around you, and you've got systems, models, and tools. It's just tapping into them so that it's not stress, it's pressure. And if you're feeling pressure, it's a good thing, because it means what's on the other side of that goal means something to you. Yep. So get in your day. This is the perfect time of year to call people. This is my favorite time of year to do cleanup. Notice we didn't do fall cleanup, right? It's because this is now when clean people up, put them on future call plans, and keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. So get it done.
Get it done.
Get it done.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Rip the Band-Aid off. Do it.
All right, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good day, friends.
Bye.